In this podcast episode, Tucker Carlson speaks with Ernst Roets, a prominent South African figure. The conversation delves into various pressing issues surrounding the current socio-political climate in South Africa, particularly focusing on the treatment of white South Africans and the implications of government policies. Roets begins by addressing the perception of South Africa among Americans, noting that for many, the narrative surrounding the country effectively ended in 1994 with the fall of apartheid. He explains that while Nelson Mandela remains a celebrated figure in the U.S., the complexities of South Africa's current situation are often overlooked. Roets emphasizes that the American media has only recently begun to report on the troubling developments in South Africa, including rising violence and government policies that many perceive as racially motivated. Roets highlights that the American public's understanding of South Africa is largely shaped by historical events, particularly the end of apartheid. However, he argues that the narrative has not evolved to reflect the current realities faced by many South Africans, particularly white citizens, who are increasingly feeling threatened. This disconnect creates a significant gap in understanding the ongoing struggles within the country, which Roets aims to bridge through his advocacy and public speaking. As the conversation progresses, Roets provides a stark overview of the current state of South Africa, describing it as a nation in turmoil. He points out that while the country has a liberal constitution and democratic institutions, the reality on the ground is vastly different. Roets argues that the government has increasingly used democratic processes to promote non-democratic objectives, leading to a situation where the rights of certain groups, particularly white South Africans, are being systematically undermined. Roets elaborates on the alarming rise in violence against white farmers, citing statistics that indicate a significant number of murders and assaults. He expresses concern that the government has failed to address these issues adequately, instead opting to focus on policies that further marginalize white citizens. This, he argues, creates an environment of fear and uncertainty where many feel compelled to leave the country in search of safety and security. The discussion shifts to the African National Congress, ANC, the ruling party in South Africa, which Roets describes as having a socialist agenda that is detrimental to the country's stability. He explains that the ANC's policies, particularly those related to land reform and economic empowerment, are often framed as necessary for redressing historical injustices. However, Roets argues that these policies are not only ineffective, but also serve to deepen divisions within society. Roets highlights the ANC's historical ties to communism and how this ideology has influenced its governance. He points out that the party's approach to land redistribution, which often involves the expropriation of land without compensation, is reminiscent of policies that have led to economic collapse in other countries. This, he argues, raises serious concerns about the future of South Africa and the potential for increased violence and instability. Roets emphasizes the importance of international perception in shaping the narrative around South Africa. He notes that the global community, particularly Western nations, have a responsibility to understand the complexities of the situation and to hold the South African government accountable for its actions. He argues that the media's portrayal of South Africa often fails to capture the nuances of the ongoing struggles faced by various communities. The conversation touches on the role of influential figures, such as Elon Musk, in bringing attention to the plight of white South Africans. Roets expresses gratitude for Musk's willingness to speak out, noting that it has sparked a broader conversation about the realities on the ground. He believes that increased awareness can lead to greater support for those advocating for the rights of marginalized communities in South Africa. A significant portion of the podcast is dedicated to Roets' personal experience with being charged with treason for speaking out about the violence against white South Africans. He explains that the charges stem from his public statements and advocacy efforts, which have drawn the ire of the government. Roets argues that this is indicative of a broader trend in which dissenting voices are silenced through intimidation and legal action. Roets reflects on the implications of being labeled a traitor for simply speaking the truth about the situation in South Africa. He emphasizes that this tactic is used to stifle legitimate criticism and to create a climate of fear among those who might otherwise speak out. This, he argues, is a dangerous precedent that undermines the very principles of democracy and free speech. The discussion also delves into the historical context of apartheid and its lasting impact on South African society. Roets explains that while apartheid was a deeply flawed system, the narrative surrounding its end has often oversimplified the complexities of race relations in the country. He argues that the legacy of apartheid continues to shape the experiences of various communities, particularly in terms of economic opportunities and social mobility. Roets highlights that the transition to democracy in 1994 was celebrated as a triumph, but it also brought about new challenges that have yet to be addressed. He emphasizes the need for a more nuanced understanding of the historical context in which these issues arise, as well as the importance of acknowledging the ongoing struggles faced by all South Africans, regardless of their race. Roets critiques the role of media in shaping narratives around South Africa, arguing that it often perpetuates a one-dimensional view of the country. He points out that sensationalized reporting on violence and crime can overshadow the more complex realities faced by different communities. This, he argues, contributes to a lack of understanding and empathy for the struggles of marginalized groups. The conversation highlights the need for responsible journalism that accurately reflects the diverse experiences of South Africans. Roets emphasizes that media outlets have a responsibility to provide balanced coverage that goes beyond surface-level narratives. By doing so, he believes that the media can play a crucial role in fostering greater awareness and understanding of the challenges faced by various communities. As the podcast progresses, Roets underscores the importance of community organization in addressing the challenges faced by South Africans. He argues that well-organized communities are better equipped to advocate for their rights and to protect themselves from violence and discrimination. Roets shares examples of successful community initiatives that have empowered individuals to take charge of their safety and well-being. Roets emphasizes that community organization is not just about self-defense. It is also about fostering a sense of belonging and identity. He believes that strong communities can provide support and resources to individuals, helping them navigate the challenges they face. This, he argues, is essential for building resilience and ensuring that marginalized voices are heard. The conversation shifts to the future of South Africa, with Roets expressing cautious optimism. He acknowledges the significant challenges that lie ahead, but believes that there is potential for positive change. Roets emphasizes the importance of grassroots movements and community engagement in shaping a more equitable future for all South Africans. Roets argues that the key to a brighter future lies in fostering dialogue and understanding among different communities. He believes that by working together, South Africans can address the underlying issues that contribute to division and conflict. This, he argues, is essential for building a more inclusive and harmonious society. Roets concludes the podcast by discussing the role of international support in addressing the challenges faced by South Africa. He emphasizes that the global community has a responsibility to stand in solidarity with marginalized groups and to advocate for their rights. Roets believes that increased awareness and support can help amplify the voices of those who are often silenced. He calls on individuals and organizations around the world to engage with the issues facing South Africa and to advocate for meaningful change. By doing so, he believes that the international community can play a crucial role in supporting the struggles of marginalized groups and in promoting a more just and equitable society.